All right, y'all. We got another one for y'all. This is gonna be very interesting. I think Sadia is speaking facts on this. I think I've already done a video on her. I'm gonna do a few more. There's a couple of situations that she speaks on that are actually very important, and I want to do videos on those as well because I know there's certain shows, and obviously from other people too, not just her. But I even though I know her and I have had interesting back and forths. I still respect her work and I respect her mindset. All the BS aside, she has a great mind. Obviously, she's beautiful. I think she's married. This is obviously in terms of like, physicality goals for most men. And she's also intelligent, even though I know she can be crazy and she can be very petty. I got love for her. I got love for you, Sadie, if you're watching this. I know you can be petty, but I still got love. Still got love for you. All right. So let's actually talk about this. All right. I'm Jerry with God and Jerry, and I'm your number one go-to for finding a kingdom spouse and solving your relationship problems forever. All right. Let's talk about this.
People who are trustworthy are naturally transparent. You know my friends, you know my family, you know my phone, you know where I'm going, you know what time I'm coming home. I'm transparent because being transparent with you doesn't feel like a heavy task. It doesn't feel difficult. People that find this a heavy task to be transparent, find it heavy to reveal information, find it heavy to answer phone calls, find it a difficult task to be transparent are people you can't trust. And
Yo, facts. I'm gonna talk about this actually. Let me take some time to speak on this because all relationships. I learned this from one of my mentors, very very successful person, holistically. Him and his wife. Shout out to them. I won't say their names. Just one of many mentors that I have. He said something that's super important, and I think I heard this about like a decade ago or something like that. He's like, all relationships move at the speed of trust, and you can only trust a person whom you deem to have integrity, right? So transparency is super important when it comes to integrity. It doesn't mean that all integrous people are perfectly transparent because there's not everything you have to talk about. But like they're not trying to be secretive. They're not trying to hold things back from you. They're integritous. They do things in a righteous way. They kind of move according to Psalm 15. Psalm 15 is it's like a cheat code. If you're somebody that wants to make it to heaven, Psalm 15 is like a cheat code. Obviously, you want to believe in Jesus Christ, which I always recommend for every single person. But Psalm 15 is like a cheat code, basic cheat code for running through life and with understanding, and also getting to a point where you can actually, make it to heaven, to Zion. You feel me? And people that aren't transparent, just flat out, and I'll go into this, they're not trustworthy. Anyone that's always secretive in terms of getting to, like, they don't yield certain information, like, oh, where are you from? Nah, it's not really important. Or like, what kind of man are you into? What kind of woman are you into? I kind of like what I like. It's not really that important. Let's maybe talk about you. You ask them where they were. They start saying, oh, I'm just chilling with my friends. I didn't ask you what you're doing. I asked you where you were. Where are you? I didn't ask you what you're doing. Right? These dodgy situations, people that don't want to be transparent with devices. I know I think this is becoming a trend where it's like you shouldn't be sharing devices and information. I think that if you want to be cheated on, then it would make sense to not have transparency with devices because you don't have a high IQ. So like you can increase that. You can always increase your IQ by studying and understanding and learning things. Transparency is the easiest way to avoid being cheated on, is the easiest way to avoid heartbreak. Very, very easy. If you're running with somebody that finds it difficult to be transparent, that doesn't want to share device situations because you're dating, especially if you're married. If you're married and you guys aren't at least, have each other's password and stuff like that, I think you're delusional. And there's a time on there's an expiration date on your marriage. And that most of the time, that's the situation. There are certain anomalies, but most of the time, either divorce is just going to straight up occur or there's going to be infidelity in some kind of capacity. And then you're going to be so shocked. I'm so surprised that it happened. I'm so surprised. But I'm telling you right now, if you're not transparent and you're not with somebody who is transparent, and not say or, and You both must be transparent. If that is not the situation, there is an expiration date on your relationship, and it's going to come before death do y'all part, because you're goofy. You're goofy. Someone that finds it hard to just tell you basic things is a problem. And if you're dating somebody like that, you need to evaluate why. Oh, I like what he looks like. Oh, I like what she looks like. I like her family. Oh, I like the car that he drives. That car is not going to feed you money. It's not going to feed you food. It's not going to put a roof over your head. You know what I'm saying? There needs to be character. Character is important. People that struggle with transparency, that struggle with honesty, are not mature partners for you. I know it's needless to say, but apparently it's not, because so many people run with human beings that are dodgy and sketchy and just weird. Just do weird things, and you think that your relationship is going to last. It's not. Before I continue, we're going to continue, but definitely hit the like and subscribe. It's a super free way to support this channel, and obviously continue getting more material like this free to you. So also a good way to help. It's like charity. You know, you help other people that you've never met and you're probably never going to meet, but you hitting the like and the subscribe, it actually sends videos like this to them so that they can also get great information. And you can actually change an entire life just by hitting like and subscribe, because the algorithm does the rest. So definitely a blessing. Obviously, if you want to share it, feel free to share it. But for those of you that actually want to find a kingdom spouse and actually be with the top 1%, it's going to require a mind shift. A mind shift has to change. A mindset shift must occur. And obviously, the first place to start with that is by clicking in the description, there's a link in the description to help you change your life when it comes to relationships. The far majority of you have been involved in courses for at least half your life or the majority of your life. Whether it's like, starting from school, you're 4 or 5 years old, you've been in courses from that time. How has it assisted you when it comes to relationships? Are you still getting heartbroken? You're still running with crazy people? You're still doing things you shouldn't be doing? Why? You're still taking advice from people that have no results in social media, that aren't even top 1% in social media, that aren't even mentored by the top 1% in social. What are y'all doing? So if you want to change your life, you want to be a kingdom spouse, click the link in the description. Change your life, man. No one's going to do it for you. All right, let's continue.
Transparent doesn't mean perfect. It doesn't mean like I tell you everything and everything's perfect, but I'm open and honest with you enough that I give you enough information. You know me better than I know myself, and that way I can't really cheat on you. So
yeah, I would say that's true too. Like, again, you don't have to give everybody everything. Like, your partner should obviously have more than everybody else. But like, it's not so that you can just be a naked person on the street. So you bear all and tell all, everything must be delved out. You obviously want your partner to know pertinent information. And again, you're going to be able to tell if you're with a reasonable human being, especially if you are a reasonable human being. I would say I think most people are reasonable. Most people have a level of reason where it's like, it's not, they're not totally out to lunch. Totally. I do believe that, honestly, 99% of people don't know what they're talking about in almost any situation. However, the ability to reason basically is decent enough to be like, okay, like, does this make sense? Especially if you know what to look for. Now, again, granted, half the people that enter into marriage exit marriage, right? So marriage fails half the time. So clearly, when it comes to marital affairs and different things like that, obviously half the people make mistakes. Half the people that enter into a marriage are making a mistake when they're entering into it. But that, again, if you're able to tell, like, is this person being their authentic self? Does this person have a certain level of like understanding around, like, are we together or not? Right? The Bible talks about this, and the two shall become one flesh. It says, therefore a man shall leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife, right? Not necessarily even the cleavage. Let's say include the cleavage. Cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So is there a maturing there to be like, okay, if I'm going to be with this person, then obviously they need to know some information about me. Like, is that such a crazy thing? And I truly believe that if someone is not really willing to divulge certain information, I think that you're not ready to be in a relationship. And I know usually older people, like especially older people that I counsel, they don't really have these issues. It's really younger people, like sub 25. Most people sub 25 are very immature when it comes to relationships. And I used to be that way, right? I used to be that way too. So I understand it. But a lot of y'all are fed by social media, and social media is like, if you want to be divorced, you're going to take counsel from social media. All these different influencers that don't know what they're talking about most of the time. Oh, girl, another man will. No, he won't. Another man will not. They might spend some money on you, but they're not going to wife you up, you know. And if they do, you know, there's problems. Everything is case by case, but there is a general ideology around what success in marriage looks like. And honestly, for most marriages, success looks very similar. Very, very similar. Again, we talked about it in one of these videos. The far majority of millionaires in the world are married. And I think in the States, I think the stat is like 20 out of 23. So 20 million out of 23 million people are married. Right? These are spiritual principles, but they're not just going to marry any person that's just a random person that you can't add anything. And even the ones who are unmarried, a lot of them have been married. So like it's a very small percentage of people who actually become millionaires who are not married. And again, you have to be married to the right person. So if you're not somebody that's moving as like a 1%er or at least top 10%, why would somebody marry you? Why would you marry a person that isn't, like, you want to settle for somebody that's in the 90 percentile? Why? You should only settle for people who are top 10%, 10% and above. For me, it's top 1%. I'm not doing anything less than that because I understand what that looks like. I've been running around that for the last decade, and obviously God guides my life in a certain way. So like, you know, that's between, I'm not going to share all that, but that's between me and God. But like, you know what I'm saying? In order to have a successful relationship, you need to be on the same page. And transparency is easily one of them. Transparency is easily one of them. If you're going to take anything away from this video, do not involve yourself with somebody who is not transparent. Do not involve yourself with somebody who lies. Even if it's small lying, little lies always turn to big lies. And here's the thing, if someone's willing to lie about something that's small and insignificant, what else are they willing to lie about? You know what I'm saying? You just have to be very careful with that kind of stuff. So I don't want this to go too long. This is a shorter video, so, you know, we're kind of doing what we got to do. But let me know what you guys think. I'm curious about what y'all think about transparency. Like, do you think that Saudi has a point? You know what I'm saying? Anyways, right here, there's going to be a video that actually speaks about the early signs that a relationship is not going to last. These are very important. If you actually, especially if you're in a relationship right now, not a marriage. If you're in a marriage, it's too late. If you're in a relationship right now, these are very important to recognize. And again, if you know that you're married and you want to strengthen your marriage, click the link in the description. All right. So I'm Jerry with God and Jerry. I'm out. Blessings.